Go ahead and begin. Yay, all right. So, anyways, it's a new year. We're already in 2023. So we got folks that are joining us here live. We'll do some introductions in a moment. We'll have people that are probably watching this later, and we're recording it for those who couldn't make it at this time. And we'll probably do another poll after this particular meeting with all the different people on the advisory board to see if there are times that work out better for folks. But obviously for the folks that are here, thank you for making it work within your schedule and joining us. So as we do it, most of these, we're going to run through basically who we are and who's here. We're going to go over some of the cool stuff that's been happening at the VSGI and the game design program and all the great stuff that we do under the core tenets of what VSGI is all about. And then of course we'll open it up sometime if there's things that have come up on your radar or ideas that or spring up from some of the stuff we talk about or any of that type of stuff. That's what these meetings are here for, is to try to get some input from folks that are out there in the industry in various different ways. So, all right, with that in mind, let's do some introductions. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just call on people and go down the list, and hopefully I'll hit everybody. As people join, I might miss some people, but I'm just gonna go in the alphabetical order that my participant list gives me. So obviously I'm the current interim director of the Virginia Serious Games Institute, and most of you hopefully know me and are here. I've seen and heard from me before. Ilya, you want to introduce yourself and who you are real quick?
Yeah. My name is Ilya Sadek. I am the computer lab technician for computer game design. I'm basically in charge of from the day-to-day kind of lab structure for the computer classes, as well as just generally helping VSGI, MGTA with any computer needs.
Yep, excellent. All right, Sang Nam, introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Sang Nam. I'm the director of computer game design program, and I also teach some AR, VR game design, etc. any tech classes in the academic program,
which has been very beneficial because when you hear all about all the research, it's definitely falls into that kind of technical aspect. Bob Bates, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. So I am a longtime game designer, working game designer. I'm independent. I'm a past chairman of the IGDA, International Game Developers Association, wrote a book on game design, and have just been around forever. So that's me.
I know you made those nice little text adventures and stuff back in the day, right? Those are always great.
Yeah,
some of my
started
favorites.
in 1986, so over 35 years. I don't know.
Wow.
Do the math.
Excellent, thank you. Mr. Piccioni.
Welcome everybody. Hi, my name is Eric Piccioni. I am the associate director of the game design program, and I also teach art, animation, and game design.
Excellent, thank you. Jackie, are you able to say hi? Jackie Kirk. There we go. It looks like you have your mic on, but I'm not hearing anything. So maybe do an introduction in chat and I'll read it. That'll work. Okay. Let's see. Drew.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having this once again. I'm Drew Crowder. I am the head of Hashtag, which is a number of different companies, but I'm on the advisory board at VSGI, and I occasionally will make an appearance in a class at Mason to talk to people. But yeah, Hashtag does a number of things in the gaming industry. We have an upcoming event that we're doing for indie game designers, part of the Hashtag Con series, with a company called, or a group called Swamp Goblin. You guys may be familiar with them. and yeah, lots of other stuff on the horizon for us. But yeah.
Awesome. Very good to hear. Excellent. Let's see, Jacob.
Hey, I'm Jacob. I'm research faculty at VSGI. I also teach a couple game programming courses for the program. Yeah, that's me.
Excellent. Josh.
Hi, my name is, can you all hear me?
Yes. All
Hey,
good.
my name is Josh. I am the operation manager at the Mason Game and Technology Academy. And I basically hire teachers, make curriculum, and basically run our courses through the summer, fall, and spring. So that's me.
Gotcha. Righty, and Jackie shared her information in the chat there. That's perfect. Let's see, Kathy.
Can you hear me? I got us off
Yep.
mute. Okay,
good.
perfect. I'm Kathy McNeil. I'm over at Blue Cross Blue Shield Care First. I've changed since we've last chatted, I think, because I am running an enterprise architecture practice, looking at AI and ML, amongst other things, fraud detection and things like that, along with that. So I'm now in that insurance medical realm from where I was before. So I'm glad to be here and love hearing about all of the new things that you guys are doing.
Awesome, thank you. All right, let's go to Ravi. One of you, I see you twice, but go ahead, Ravi.
Yeah, sorry. I thought can you guys hear me?
Yeah, all good.
All right, perfect. I just wasn't sure. I was joining through a browser, so I was thinking it might not work. Hi, everyone. My name is Ravi Garimala. I work for C Squared Technologies. Dolly O'Brice is our CEO, and she asked me to join. I'm also AR/VR project manager for our company, and we do a lot of work in AR/VR field. And I'm also the hiring manager in that field. So
excellent.
I thought worked earlier with Sang before, and I've been to the Manassas campus, I think, before. So excited to be part of this group.
Excellent. I'm very glad to have you. Riza.
Hi, everyone. Riza Villacorte, Administrative Assistant for the VSGI. Thank you for joining us today.
Excellent. All right, we already hit Sang earlier. Stephanie.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Kane. I am the research coordinator for the VSGI, and I also teach game history.
Excellent. And then last but not least, Susan.
Hello, everyone. I'm the Director of Development for the College of Visual and Performing Arts, and that includes raising scholarships and capital funds and research funds for all the academics and the Center for the Arts, etc. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. And let me check to make sure nobody, did we get Robert? Robert.
Yes. Thank you, James.
It's okay.
I was worried
you moved in the list and I was like, wait, where?
Yeah. I was worried about last but not least, but anyway.
Right. I'm sorry about that.
That's all right. That's all right. I go back a couple of years with VSGI. I'm an adjunct with the Shar School. I'm also a lecturer at the National Defense University. My focus initially with the VSGI was on decision-making strategic games. My clients include Marine Corps University and other places. James knows and other people know that my interest is, while I appreciate all the commercial great things that are coming out of VSGI for commercial, I'm very interested in being able to use the technology to improve decision-making, crisis management, and problem solving for a defense community. Thank you.
Awesome, great. All right, now double checking to make sure we didn't miss anybody else that moved around. I think we got everybody. All right, perfect. All right, well, that's the introduction. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a few minutes, each of us, and talk about some of the things that have happened since last we met. And last time some of you have been here, or maybe even longer, or some of you that are new, and just kind of go over some highlights of stuff that has happened, as well as things that are coming up and that kind of stuff. And so with that in mind, I'm going to hand it over to Sang, who's going to talk about the computer game design program. And then I'm going to do the slides as he's ready. So go ahead, Sang.
Okay, thank you, James. Once again, my name is Sang Nam, Director of Computer Game Design Program. And spring enrollment, we have 418 undergraduate students, along with 33 minor students and 2 master students. So in terms of enrollment, we're doing pretty well, and we still think about ways of growing because we see more opportunities utilizing online classes. So we talked about potentially adding esports, and actually currently we have sports management and game minor with sports management department, and then that actually we changed the name to esports management and game. So we are thinking of ways of expanding, and esports might be the kind of next area we are going to explore. But bottom line is, with almost 420 students, we are doing, our enrollment is pretty strong. Next slide, please. As you may know, we do have computer game design program at Mason, Korea. So Mason, Korea is our satellite campus in Incheon, South Korea. And if you take a look at it, we have kind of steady growth over the time. And if you look at freshmen, we currently have 16 students who are studying computer game design at Mason, Korea. And we actually add 20 new incoming students for this semester. So for the academic year of 2022 and 2023, we actually added almost 36 new incoming students, which is pretty good. And for your information, all these students will eventually come to Fairfax campus and finish their programs. So all these people will be added to our Mason, like Fairfax students. And we're very excited to see this interaction between Mason, Korea and the Fairfax campus. Next slide, please. Last year, December 6, 2022, we had Tencent America Scholarship Award Breakfast. So we basically gathered to celebrate award recipients' achievement. So as you can see, we had this event at, I forgot the name of the venue, Bistro at Johnson Center on campus. So we had nice breakfast while giving out the certificate, and we have faculty and staff joined us and chat with students and try to give advice and all different kinds of good talk. And next slide, please. And on March 3rd and 4th, there will be annual Game Mason event hosted by student activities, and computer game design program along with CBPA, College of Visual and Performing Arts. We have been part of this program from the beginning, and CBPA, especially facility, we provide the spaces. So mainly this event happens at Center for the Arts on our Fairfax campus. And us, computer game design program, we basically have been in charge of Knowledge Center. So Knowledge Center is basically educational track. We coordinate, we organize a series of talk to discuss how games can improve the society along with all different kinds of game technologies. So Mary Bean, our office program manager of computer game design program, has been work as a coordinator for that Knowledge Center educational track. And this year we have faculty members speaking at the event, including Matt Nolan will talk about game music composition, And James Casey and myself, we're going to talk about VR performance project and along with new uses for game tech. And Nathan Hahn, our adjunct professor who works at Bethesda as a game designer, and he will talk about career opportunities in game and esports. Next slide. And for the international collaboration, we've been doing this work with various entities in like all different countries. And this time, I like to highlight this Seoul Digitech High School in South Korea. So this is more like kind of gifted school for like digital like technology. So they are one of the, I think like they actually is the very first high school that started the game design and development education. So we are going to work with them for their summer internship program, and they are planning to send their high school students for a global internship program in US like next year, summer 2024, and VSGI and us will try to help them get exposed to these game companies and along with how US kind of train game designers and developers. Next slide. And also I briefly mentioned this before. We are going to start a capacity building project in Abu Dhabi, in UAE, and we identified our the university partner. So once again, this project is funded by U.S. Department of State, and we are going to work with Higher College of Technology, which is one of the biggest technology the education institute in like UAE. I believe they have like 12 campuses across the UAE, and one in Abu Dhabi and one in Dubai and all other places. So we are going to start certificate program this coming fall, and then next month we are going to travel there, and we'll do bunch of master classes and workshops on serious game. So we're very excited about this opportunity, and initially there's going to be fund to run this program for first 2 years, and then our plan is to continue to work with Department of State and try to offer these classes to students in Abu Dhabi. And next slide, please. And again, we try to work with many partners in like different countries, and you can see study at Mason Korea program, and we have been sending students to Evertay, Hull West, and University of Westminster. And this summer, we are going to send our very first cohort of short-term study abroad program to Tokyo, Japan. So in fact, Professor Robbie Dietrich, who will lead this program with Professor Josiah Lubowicz, she will actually travel to Japan in 2 weeks to meet with the studios in Tokyo, Japan, to make sure everything will go as planned. I think this is it from me. Thank
Yeah,
you.
no, that's a lot of good stuff, Sang. So as everybody heard, I mean, we got students coming in here and in Korea and lots of opportunities to share what we do well. And so now we're going to talk a little bit about what Virginia Serious Games Institute has been doing. So I'll start us off. Oh, actually, Robert has a quick question for you, Sang, in chat. What do you know what specific office at state is sponsoring those?
So actually, this is an embassy of UAE, and then there's a person who's in charge of those educational activities in like UAE, especially Abu Dhabi, from like Washington DC office.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I can like I'll find a person and then her title and her office and then post it in the chat.
Awesome. And we can chat a little more after we get through some stuff too. Excellent. All right. So speaker series, and yeah, if you have questions, feel free to throw them in chat or raise your hand virtually so I can see it. So for the speaker series, we began our, we've been doing this for a few years now, where we had people come in and chat over lunch, give us a little presentation or a lecture, and then we do a little discussion. And so our first one this semester was on the needs of game accessibility. And what that means to games going forward, and that was very good. The next one is actually tomorrow with someone who's going to talk about funding your game, looking at different funding sources, including grants, and how you can kind of get your game made. So it really works well for serious games because a lot of their money comes from the funding sources, and our speaker has experience with the NSF and et cetera. So let's see. Right now, we're still shoring up the next few speakers. So if there's people you have in mind or think that would be good speakers to talk, we're always open to suggestions. So definitely let us know, myself or Riza, and we can add them to our slate either this semester or next. So excellent. We've also been helping out the Arlington campus to help them get a little more presence and exposure, especially in technologies, especially now that they're going to have a whole brand new building, the Mason Hughes or Mason Square. They keep changing the name over there, but anyways, they've been trying to push it. So we set up a series of talks where we talked about game tech, metaverse, AI, and machine learning. And this year they're going to be going over prototyping with physical, new physical equipment. They've got great labs, also digital prototyping, the blockchain, and DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion in new technology. So we've been helping them with the topics as well as the speakers. And so they've been a fun little series of chats there as well. Now, I have put this up in the past and the dates have changed and they are subject to change because the person coordinating on the Arlington end is new to the position and taking this over. So if these change, we'll let people know. All right, I'm going to talk briefly about our resident companies before we hit research. I'm going to just give a little bit of brief overview about what they've been doing. So Viva Vita, who was here at the last meeting and talking a little bit about their company, and it was a new resident company. And in case you're not familiar with them, what they do is they create essentially VR kits that they sell to assisted living, senior citizens, senior communities, so that older folks can enjoy VR experiences, tour places they've never been, revisit places they have been and they may not be able to go again, and essentially do more than sit around and play pinochle or whatever it is that you do at old people's homes. I don't know. And so they've been very successful. They've had a lot of interest, and what they're doing right now is they're actually working on a second iteration of their kit with the obviously newer hardware, but also more importantly, instead of just curated experiences, just finding VR content and loading it up and making it accessible, they're also talking to the customers and the different clientele to see what would make sense to make customized content. So make more interactive content designed with that community in mind. So it will be interactive, but it won't require you to run across a room or do crazy things. And there may be different levels of it, again, based on the needs and the abilities of the folks that are actually using these kits. And by doing that, they're hoping to differentiate themselves even more from any competition by having this individual and unique experiences. And that's where our students and our faculty come in, because they're going to be helping them to build this customized content. Scripted LLC, which we've talked again in the past, one of our more recent companies doing stuff in the Web 3.0 sphere, that whole metaverse, blockchain, AI, like all this combination of stuff coming together. One of the things that they did recently was put together a quick proof of concept game. It's basically, if you remember Wordle, which was a big thing for a while, right, with people solving little puzzles daily and trying to figure out the word. they took that idea, but they added in the idea of using AI generated art to create this kind of puzzle game. And so if you wanted to try it out, it's called PicTurtle. It's a weird name, I know, but you can see it there. It's pictures with Wordle. So PicTurtle. And you can try it out and see if you can do well. The idea is each of these pictures is generated using what they use, prompts or keywords. And then in each one, something is missing that the other ones have. So in one of these, like they all have something that's kind of like a moon in 3 of them. And then the top right, there is not a moon one. So you'd have to figure out what that word is that generated it in the other 3, but is not there. So you're basically trying to figure out what's missing. And again, something fun, something to play with, and they're using it as a proof of concept. And then they're also been going out to various investors to try to find funding for their NFTs, as well as their technology for using that within games. So what is next? All right, Historical Movement Archive. They've been here for a while, and we've been very supportive of them. If you're not familiar with them, they are taking essentially historical dance and fighting techniques and any kind of movement that exists in a historical context, and attempting to figure out how to digitally archive and make like a library of that content. So old, Kung Fu or dances or any of this type of stuff, fighting techniques, fisticuffs from the old days where there's, it's just written down on a piece of paper and people have learned it from that piece of paper, but there's only 1 or 2 experts in the world. Now we can, use volumetric capture or other types of motion capture to take this movement and put it into a 3D world. And so one of the things that they'd been working on previously was modeling the Bear Theater and making essentially what they call a digital portal. So what they want to do is, much like we're having a Zoom chat right now, they want to have the ability for people all around the world to meet, but do it within this 3D virtual environment. Whether you're in a headset or not, you can show up at the Bear Theater, you can watch people perform, see videos or presentations, collaborate and work, even watch people as they're being captured in their performance and critique. And so they've done a proof of concept, and they have several tests now where they've had people from all across the world log in and be able to view and interact with each other. And that's something that they're expanding as they both increase the amount of historical movement that they're archiving, as well as finding new stakeholders and people to work with, and hopefully, of course, funders. So obviously you can't click on the link here, but if you go to Historical Movement Archive and just look for Digital Portal, you'll be able to see kind of where they are technology-wise and where they're going when they talk about that. And finally, the Improve On Health and NAMI are that continue to work on the same things they have been. Improve On Health is continuing to gamify their hardware for handing out medication for folks with intellectual disabilities, making it much easier for the folks that need to take the medication to understand, develop habits, and kind of be able to help themselves more than they could before. And then NAMI-R is working on more contracts with AR and VR. And then finally, there was a game company that we could not host out here because they wanted to be in Arlington. And they moved out to Arlington for a while. They're called Loric Games. There were some founders that worked with myself and Eric out at Mythic / EA back in the day. And they unfortunately did move out of the Arlington offices because they realized they were doing most of their work remotely with their different staff they were hiring. And so they're going to continue to have a remote company right now as they staff up, but they're constantly looking for interns and students. So it helps out our program, and we know they're going to make some great stuff. So that's kind of our resident companies. So research, and Stephanie and Jacob can talk about these. Jacob, do you want to give a little bit of a update and kind of where we are with the forensics research we're doing?
Sure. That was the project where we have working with a faculty member who's also a police officer who teaches about crime scene investigation, and they have a crime scene house in a neighborhood that like a physical crime scene house, and it's all yellow tape, I guess, and all that stuff right in the neighborhood. So they are looking at more feasible ways of handling that training, and they're kind of building a VR prototype. We've hired a couple of our students to kind of do the production on that. And I think we got a picture of it, maybe right down there in the bottom left. So we're getting the interactions and the blood stains and the fingerprints on the bullets, and kind of getting a kit for CSI kit. And I'm learning about how CSI works a little bit. So fun stuff.
I know we have to take what we learned from the TV procedural shows and be like, is this actually real or not? And so some of it is and some of it isn't. But as you can see, maybe in the top left picture, I mean, eventually, that blood splatter and all these different things are things that we're going to have to think about as part of the modeling bit. And I'll talk briefly about the INOVA thing. Sang and myself and another student have been working with INOVA Hospital for a while, and we finally got a project going where we're essentially using the HoloLens to create an augmented reality trauma bay trainer. So it walks them through, using a mannequin and then augmented reality and the different monitors and a virtual nurse and the virtual patient walks them through somebody being admitted into the trauma bay, and the decisions and interventions that they need to make then have repercussions, and then they get assessed on how well they do. And so that's in the early stages, but we're working on that now. Sang, do you want to talk about the Lifespan Digital? And you've worked with them the most so far.
So Lifespan Digital Health, so we became their subcontractor to help them create this 3D game that can that offers different settings to test players players mental health status. So this Lifespan got a grant from NSF, mainly to work on a new technology to help detect status of a mental health of college students. So this company is working with Purdue and GMU, and mainly they are creating this app that can detect some players' vitals to give us some alert whenever they're really stressed. And they want to add a little more kind of gamification for the project. So we decided to work together to, again, if you look at this, the left side, left top, there is this game that the person is envisioning. So we are going to kind of help them create this 3D game, again, in different settings, and they can gauge different types of mental status.
Excellent. And then we also have one, Jacob, you want to talk about the one that we're starting up, getting students for kinesiology?
Yeah, absolutely. So
and that picture, sorry, that picture in the bottom left is not from the project. It's just I didn't have any pictures, so I wanted to give you something idea, and Jacob can talk a little more about it. So go ahead.
Yeah, so the plank picture is a good visualization, because that's what, in virtual reality, they're walking down a plank and they're getting used to a plank, but there's also a plank in the physical space, and so they can actually feel it under them and they can step off of it on accident and stuff like that. But then after they get used to it, they raise them up in the air, and it's kind of like that classic, I don't know, game, like the one probably from where that picture came from, where you can walk out and jump off and feel it in VR. But the idea is that they're doing foot track, like they're tracking the gait of the walker. And especially with elderly people, they're trying to figure out when anxiety happens, how does that affect the walk and the gait? And then how can, basically detect it, before it happens, and future looking stuff of how to kind of take that, what they learn about the gait of people who have anxiety or experiencing anxiety, and kind of react to it in some way. So, it's a grant funded project that was brought from another university to this university. And the project lead of that looked at VSGI, we chatted with them, and they just switched their production over to us. So we hired a couple we just hired a couple students to work on that. We'll be starting that probably next week, and fun stuff. It's interesting partly because it's not very portable, because they have this hardware. So we actually have to have our interns come in to work instead of working.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, it's amazing. If you go over there, they got this gigantic room with a big plank and so many sensors, and so they want to be very methodical about getting the data and the sensor data about the gait analysis. So, but we're helping them make the virtual reality part more immersive so that they get the proper type of anxiety and stress that they're looking for and are able to make the right kind of adjustments. And then Stephanie, you want to talk about some of our other stuff that's going on as well?
Sure. So the CVPA AR performance that we did with Kinesia is wrapping up and finishing. So they have you guys have a product now, if I remember correctly, that you can watch and see how everything comes together for the performance. Also, I'm working with the Historical Movement Archive. Yeah, there it is, James. I'm also working with the Historical Movement Archive. We're working on a couple of grants for them to kind of continue working on their online portal and their archival mission. As James had already mentioned, they have a couple of grants that are due in the next month. So we're hoping, fingers crossed for them. Also, the student competition that we're working on with Prince William County, that's still continuing on. It was a business development competition for students at Mason with focus on science and technology and stuff. The teams have been created, and I think we are all working together. Mostly Prince William Economic Development and James are working with them to create business canvases and pitch decks for the competition.
Yep.
And so if anybody's ever interested in working with us, obviously you can connect with me, you can connect with James. We're always looking for opportunities and things to continue to work on all of these really exciting projects, honestly.
Yep. Excellent. Let's see. So last but not least, really quick, we have some residential companies that are in the pipeline that we're looking to add. One of them is run by one of the faculty in the computer science department. They're looking to have a VR training company that they're starting up. And then we also have more of a traditional game companies that I'm talking to later this week to figure out if they would be a good fit and how they would fit under the Serious Games umbrella and what kind of opportunities they may bring as well. We're still talking and in various meetings on how we're going to be able to utilize space here. We have an expansion planned with a new building, which means we're actually getting some additional space here in Kathleen Johnson Hall for classroom, motion capture, AR and VR, and it'll be a great expansion to both what we do here at VSGI and the game design department's resources. And we're also talking to Arlington campus to see how we can expand and how our outreach and VSGI and various things would be able to take advantage of some of the new technology and new space that's coming with their new building in the next few years. So, and then finally, the VSGI and MGTA and game design, we're going to go to East Coast Game Conference in April. We're going to end up taking some students down there and basically networking with some of the folks that come out here on the East Coast and really kind of set up shop and hopefully generate some more research as well as student opportunities from that. And obviously check out our social medias if you're not already on there. That brings us to Mason Game and Technology Academy. So Josh, who you heard introduce himself earlier, has taken over that program and it did phenomenal as we came back from the COVID, especially this last summer and even in the fall and currently spring classes. So I'm going to let Josh talk a little bit about what we have planned, and then when you're ready to move to the next slide, let me know, Josh.
Yeah, will do. Hey everybody. So yeah, this summer we are going to be holding our summer courses again, but instead of last summer where we just held the Envision virtual and residential courses, we are opening up for the first time in I think like a year or two.
Several years, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a little bit. We are opening up the normal MGTA courses this year. We're not running as many as we probably did in the past. From just kind of trying to get a feel for like the demand for the classes, and maybe next summer we'll up them a little bit if there's a high demand. So we've got our virtual weeks, which are happening in June, and we've got our on-site residential weeks that are happening in July, with the exception of the new non-credited residential Envision classes, which are basically classes that don't require faculty because they're going to be non-credited, but they're still in partnership with Envision. So not only will it be extra classes and more students, but it'll also be an opportunity for other Mason Game and Technology teachers to have a chance to teach high schoolers in a more professional environment. So we're looking forward to that, and we basically got the go ahead for that like a week ago. So we're planning that one. We've got teachers and interns pretty much lined up. I've got interns filling a lot of the George Mason interns filling the a lot of the Envision classes, and then a lot of normal MGTA past instructors. I've got them filling up the normal MGTA classes. So everything's going pretty smoothly with that so far. And then we are still doing our asynchronous courses. Nothing too much has changed with those. They're still being very successful, and I guess next slide. And not much has changed here since last time. We're still working on some new courses that are going to be asynchronous courses, both for MGTA and Envision. We're working on the modeling with Blender course, the cybersecurity one, and then the animation with Blender course. We're getting close to the first two. The third one hasn't quite started too much yet. The only other major thing to mention is that we are kind of doing a bit of a revamp for some of the existing courses, specifically Roblox and Unity. We have a couple devs working on that right now. Basically taking the content that's in the course and either tweaking or updating it, and then also just adding some new stuff altogether to make the courses a bit more fresh and bit more involved than they were maybe previously. So I'm hoping to have the revisions at the very least completed by the end of the year. Sooner would be nice, but we're trying to make sure this is done right. And I think that's it for the slides, right?
Yep, that's it. And Kathy asked about for high school students. Yeah, so the majority of what you saw there is really geared towards high school students. We do take some middle school students in sometimes, and we do offer adult education as well as executive education type of opportunities. But those are generally kind of as needed, as arranged with particular folks. So like we did it for Customs and Border Protection in the past. But yeah, any of the stuff that we were talking about.
I can also add on to that more specifically. So Envision classes are pretty much exclusively high school, whereas MGTA is more middle school. However, those non-credited classes I was talking about, those will also be opened up to middle school from Envision's marketing team. So we're kind of actually broadening the range a little bit of what we usually have in the summer. We'll have a lot more middle school students this summer than we have probably before. So
excellent. Cool. All right. So that pretty much wraps it up. So with other than keep this up, and I know we can see faces off to the side or whatever, I'm going to just go ahead and shut it down. Now we can just get a grid of people, or however you have your Zoom set up. We can see some faces. So we still got about 15 minutes. So I know there were some questions in chat. Some of you, this may be new for, some of it maybe you've heard a lot of. But if you have questions or thoughts or things like that, I mean, the reason we want the advisory board here is because when you hear about some of the things we're doing, as well as what you're doing, we want to find those synergies. We want to find those collaborative sparks, or the networks that you have come to bear for us and vice versa. So if you have any thoughts or questions, feel free to just speak up, raise your hand. Now is your time to ask more. Go ahead, Robert.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentations and the summary of what VSGI is doing. It's great that everybody is involved in these endeavors, and I'm sure they are paying dividends for the staff and for the university in every sense of the word dividend. What I want to do is introduce something that I'm not meaning to be overly sober or serious about, but I would like to interject 3 points. First of all, from the standpoint of strategic decision making and defense, we're in a situation right now where the metaverse, as it's crudely understood, will become a combat zone. It'll become a combat zone either because you can insert yourself physically into that zone or because others can insert themselves into yours.
Sure.
And the whatever permeable barrier once existed doesn't exist anymore. So it will introduce a new set of dimensions for warfare and human conflict. It will also lower the bar for human intervention into your thought processes and say goodbye to privacy as we know it. So my first point is, I would like to see VSGI begin to reach out and explore some of the more perverse descriptions of the metaverse from the standpoint of thinking ahead to a hostile scenario of a metaverse and forcing your students and forcing your faculty to begin to do sort of an internal think tank about that whole set of questions. I really think that's important. The second thing is that I would certainly like to see one day some affiliation between VSGI and George Mason with Marine Corps University. And I don't know if I can always take you with me, James, to the Quantico Tech Center. Have you ever been to the Quantico Tech Center?
I've been over to Quantico for a few things. I don't know if I've actually seen the Tech Center.
Okay, we can save that for later. So it's something I'll just put a note in because I think it's important for you to see what people are playing with. And I guess the third thing is that the whole question of students in the area of game design, as fruitful as it is and as enticing as it is for people to be looking at it in terms of all the fun, quote unquote, fun you can have with it. I want to conclude by saying that we need to delve into the dark side of gaming to understand how it can be used in a nefarious way to harm the things that we appreciate, the things that we admire, the things we hold closely and hold dear, and to never assume that it will be an eternal playground. Full stop. Thank you.
Oh, no, I mean, they're all good things, I think, Robert. And I think that, you know, any of your connections and coming out to see some of the stuff, I think that we'd be glad to do that. Because again, the idea behind serious games is to explore some of these things, right? And even in entertainment games, people are looking at these things. And now, of course, this is like some of yours is predicated on the metaverse actually taking off, and I'm still not sure that's going to happen, but we'll see. It does exist already in some degrees, so we do have to be thinking about it, just like we do with any kind of online or connected technology. So I think those are great points, and we should connect again after this and come out and see some of that stuff with you. So that'd be great. Drew, yeah.
Hello. Thank you again for a wonderful presentation. That was awesome. It's always nice to get see how the companies are progressing and see how everything's going for all that stuff. For those of you unfamiliar with me, I sort of exist on the fun side of things. So I would love, as we go forward, March, unfortunately for the timing this year, not next year, they're on different weekends next year. But our indie game developer conference is on one of the Game Mason days. I know it's really unfortunate, and it was one of those things where we didn't know, and it would just overlaps.
We'll have to coordinate better.
Yeah, for sure. Well, next year it's in February, so we're good.
Perfect.
Yeah, so I've been working with Lauren Long from Student Activities, and she's great. She actually lives right around our facility, so she was here yesterday.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so we're Beltway Battles coming up is one of our big esports IP, and we have a Valorant tournament with 16 universities, including Mason. Mason's one of them. So that's coming up, and we're always looking at sponsorships and partnerships to sort of push that agenda ahead. But the March 4th Indie Game Developers Conference that we're hosting should be awesome. We're not trying to counter program to Mason, so we're not doing anything. Yeah. So, but we're going to be hosting small conferences like that in the future. So if you want to talk about doing some serious games conference
Yeah,
or
no,
just sort of collaboration.
Yeah, we'd love to help you out and vice versa, because I mean, I think there's synergy there. And as you probably have heard, and you know, we've talked about in the past, we're always looking at ways, how do we expand into esports and include that? And we have some professors here, that, especially adjuncts, that are really kind of getting into that. And we have clubs here and things like that. And obviously, you know, from the commercial aspect of it, you bring a lot of experience as well. So yeah, I think that would be great.
Yeah, and I'm working. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say I'm working with Lauren in helping her program the more convention-y side of things for Game Mason, in getting her in touch with some more celebrity talent, and also some professional gamers that we work with and that kind of thing, some big streamers, and seeing how we can help each other in making that work. We're also working on some DEI projects for esports, for BIPOC gamers and gamer girls and that kind of thing, and female gamers, and pushing those into a really exciting event series as well, because that's kind of what we do at Hashtag. We sort of build out IP that we can, and you know,
yeah, no, we definitely got to cross promote more.
Yeah, for sure. And
let
Hashtag
us,
is
let us
also
know.
Yeah, for sure. Hashtag's also building a much bigger facility coming up.
Oh,
That's going to
good.
be, yeah, we're going to be looking to expanding into an 80,000 square foot building that we're doing a ground up
Oh,
construction.
wow.
Yeah, it's going to be huge, sort of a gamer resort, which is going to have some open space for universities to be able to have not like classroom facilities or anything, but
Right.
just promotional spaces that you guys can
Gotcha.
set up to push stuff. It won't be of any cost. So
Can you mention where it's at yet?
it's gonna, well, sort of. So it's gonna be in Northern Virginia.
Okay.
And it's gonna be the home to the local professional esports teams that are here currently.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so we have a lot of stuff that we're working out with some of the big game developers as well, setting up some really cool display spaces and interactive things within the resort that we can do. So you can always see the latest games and stay up on the latest tech and that kind of stuff. So
perfect.
But yeah, thank you for the
No, thank you.
Yeah,
good stuff. Anybody else? I know we got some new folks here, so some folks that have been here before. What other things are on your mind or coming up, or stuff that we may want to look into?
Hey, James, this is Kathy. Hey, I sit on the advisory board of STEM for her.
Okay.
And I'm wondering if there's something here that we could do. So this is high school and college age kids.
Yep,
And
mostly high school, but yeah.
Yeah. So it's got a bit of both. So have we done any work with them before?
I know we've done some stuff with those types of organizations. I don't know about that specific organization, but we'd be more than willing to, because we're always looking for ways to do outreach to try to get to those types of communities that just haven't been hit. So we did some stuff in Arlington with some folks out there. We did some stuff with Amazon, had a women in technology kind of conference. Do you remember the name of that one, Stephanie? Did you spoke at?
Oh, that was the Amazon Web Services Girls in Gaming.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
They have a girls' tech day at the Hilton. Is that it?
Yeah, that was what it was. Yes, the Girls' Tech Day. Yes.
Yeah, because we've started an annual event. Actually, it was at Mason here in Arlington. We had 300. These were high schoolers from the underserved communities.
Yep.
In particular, that's probably the one you're thinking about. But I'm also thinking there are college young women as well that we're putting through mentor programs and things like that. But I feel like there's something we could converge on, either from an event perspective to introduce them to gaming technology as a discipline versus just as something fun, because while it is fun, there's actually some real world practicality to it.
Oh yeah.
Right? Especially when we get into simulators and things like that. So there might be something there.
Oh no, absolutely.
That was just my thought.
And we're more than willing to do talks and work with that. So yeah, let's connect after this and chat about upcoming events and what we could potentially even set up as new events for that type of, like you said, for some of the
And it may be just that we do a session and invite people and you all kind of do demos and things like that of what
Yep.
it is so that people understand. Because I think while we all understand what it is, I don't think the broader world understands what gaming
Oh, no,
technology as a
it's-
discipline is.
Yeah, it's always good to try to get more people to understand it is what we do, right? And what it means, and that it's not just, you know, playing a game. It's actually, you know, it's a business, and it's serious, and it's, you know, and it's getting attacked by evil, bad people too. But you know, it's becoming more and more part of everybody's lives. You know, even the older generations that didn't have it before, you know, are getting more and more into technologies. And so gaming and gamification and serious gaming and these technologies are hitting a lot more places. So getting all these different communities in early on these technologies is huge. So yeah, absolutely.
I was asking about the senior centers because we have some senior centers or assisted living facilities in the area that are sponsors of either the Center of
Excellent.
the Arts or Arts by George.
Right.
I wondered if either of those places might be interested in partnering with the Viva Vita or whatever else the VSGI is doing with
Yeah.
seniors.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I'm not sure which ones locally Carly is working with, but Riza will get you in touch with Carly, and you guys can coordinate and see if there's some, you know, either already happening or things that we can kind of make happen. Because yeah, there's no reason they shouldn't be if we're already connected with them. So that's great.
Thank you.
Other things, we got another minute or two. Any other cool stuff that people want to promote or talk about, or thoughts that came up as we were hitting on some of the things that are already happening or maybe happening? Awesome. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming out. I want to thank everybody for the great ideas and collaboration ideas and thought processes. And so definitely want to follow up with, you know, all you and with Robert and Drew and Kathy and so on and so on. Like, let's follow up after this and then go from there. But as you've seen, a lot of great successful stuff and more to come. Thank you all for coming out. Appreciate it.
See you guys.
All right, Ilya, we can stop the recording. I think we're good.